what's going on? UltimatDJz here from the Teach You Track YouTube channel with another video for you today. Today, I'm going to do my absolute daggone best to give you a quick and dirty on the brand new Titan A. How do you get it? How long is it going to take? What do you do with it when you get it? What is fortification? And really, truthfully, at least at this point in my particular furry cat brain, what is the ultimate benefit of this ship? We're going to talk to my friend Bubba Joe, who will join us in just a moment to talk about that. First, let's hop into the game. Here is the brand new Titan A. It is pretty. The artwork, they did a pretty good job on it, but how do you get it? Well, first thing you're going to do is effective immediately. As of right now, you can go into your faction store. If you don't own the ship, you can go into your faction store, come on down here into the Export faction, and you will see a new bundle here. It does go away once you actually build the ship, so do be aware of that. If you buy the ship, then the bundle goes away, which is why mine is no longer here. You're going to see a bundle here. It will have one blueprint in it. It will cost 120 X-board credits. So once you get the blueprint, then it will go into a 22-hour cooldown, and then you will be able to do it again tomorrow. All right, so that's what you get. That's how you get your blueprints. Straight up. 100 days later, you have a brand new Titan A. How do you get the blueprints? Like, how do you get the board faction credits or the X-board credits? Well, that is actually pretty simple. Hopefully, you're doing this already. Those X-board faction credits are coming from your daily freebooter goals. All right, so we'll come down here, just take a quick peek at your freebooter goals, and that's where the X-board credits are coming from. And so that's what you do. You do your freebooters, you get the credits, you go back into the store. You are using these credits on research as well, but you can now also use them to source the Titan absolutely free. 100 days from now, you will have 100 blueprints, and you're going to be able to build this ship. Once you build the ship, you are then going to get a new set of dailies. This is how you're going to be feeding the new Titan refinery, which will show up in the support tab of your refinery. We're going to talk about all these things here coming up in just a moment. There's going to be two currencies that come from it, crystalline beryllium, and then just regular beryllium, and we're going to talk about what those convert into and where you will spend those. But once you actually build the ship, then you're going to hop in and you're going to see two brand new dailies. I've already claimed mine like a big goofball, but here's an image for you, okay? You're going to see a daily to use fortification. So that is what this daily is going to entail. The fortification is using this Titanite currency, all right? It's basically a boost juice, all right? Every single day, you're going to be granted 4,000 of that at Tier 1. But, Bubba Joe, welcome to the stage. That will actually scale up, won't it?
That is correct.
Hey, there you are. Yay! It's working technology. Yeah, so at Tier 1, you're going to get 4,000, but at Tier 2, it goes up. Tier 3, it goes up. You'll be getting more of this boost juice every single day as you tier up the ship. All right, so to do a fortification, there's two ways to do it. There are two icons here. If you take, oh, you can't see because of the cat. Two icons. There you go. The top one is for fortification. It costs 3,000 of the Titanite. And the second one is max fortification. It costs 12,000, and it requires you to have a Tier 3 Titan. So a lot of us aren't going to be able to do that right away. But that's okay. When we're looking at the dailies, actually the requirement is to spend the Titanite. So you could do one boost of regular fortification and get this particular daily. And even if you don't do max fortification, you could just do 4 fortifications and still be able to finish this daily as well. Contained within these dailies, let's take a look at the little daily first. You're going to get Bubba Joe here at Tier 1. And rumor has it, these are not scaling. Were you able to find evidence to the contrary?
That what is not scaling?
The daily, the actual daily.
Correct. The daily does not change.
The daily doesn't change, so that's the way it is. So you're going to get 2,000 beryllium and 1,500 crystalline beryllium just for doing that small daily. And then if you go and you did it the 4 times, or you do the max fortification, you're going to get a bonus 3,500 crystalline beryllium. Now, these two currencies are kind of important. They're doing two different things, aren't they, Bubba Joe? The regular beryllium, what you're going to use here, the regular beryllium, we're going to go back into the game, And we're going to come down into our support tab, and regular beryllium can be used in two different places. One, it can be used to source Titan parts, all right? And we're going to see that as we tier up, the number of parts will also increase as well, each tier. So we're going to get some parts. That is obviously going to help us tier up the Titan, and we can also get these Viridium isotopes. Same thing. They're going to increase as we tier up the ship. These Viridium isotopes are then used to go into your research tree, and just like the Defiant, just like the Cerritos, it's going to enhance your fortification. It's going to enhance your buff. And these are inside the Starship's tree down here at the very end. You'll see that there's Titan's Fist, Titan's Shield, Clash of Titan, all these Titan things that are going to have to do with fortification. Now, Bubba Joe, if you had no research done and you do receive a fortification, the good news is that right off the bat, there is a base buff for all players. And that buff, in my mind, is not the worst thing they've ever hit us with. It's certainly not the best, but 25% boost to critical hit damage is one of my favorite buffs. Critical hit damage, critical hit chance, those are some of my favorite buffs, Bubba, because they actually have a decently substantial impact sometimes. 25% not huge, but listen, we would probably do a research for 25%. That is the base boost from fortification, plus all the additional bonuses from the research tree, okay? And if you do max fortification, it's kind of the same thing. You can't see because of the cat. You'll still get the 25% crit damage bonus, but you're also getting a bonus 250% regular damage bonus. That's if you do the max fortification. So you're going to use those Viridium isotopes. You're going to come in and you're going to do extra research as time goes on to simply, just like the Cerritos and just like the Defiant, you're going to make your ship stronger. Now, that's with the regular beryllium. At this point now, we also have this crystalline beryllium. And here is where I'm going to turn it over to my dear friend, Bubba Joe, who traditionally does not like to be the mathematician, but you were very, very interested. You were very invested into this crystalline beryllium because it sources a component, or it sources a commodity that you and a lot of other high ops level players have been screaming for months, and that is rare skill points. So Bubba Joe, how do I spend crystalline beryllium, and is this Titan for skill points, is it any good?
Okay, so yeah, so as we just discussed, this is a separate thing. So the first thing I've been told is, oh, well, if I'm getting skill points, I can't do parts and I can't do research. No. This is a completely different resource. So this resource comes for free as a part of the 2 dailies that you can do. And it sources skill points. It sources uncommon skill points, which we've talked about are a finite resource back when we talked about fleet commanders. But it also sources, and this is a little bit where people are going to be a little bit grumbly, including myself when I started, it's going to source rare skill point dust, right? And so the conversion for rare skill point dust to rare skill points is 100-1. And a tier 1 Titan A is going to give you, for one chest, 32 particles of rare skill point dust. So that means after just over 3 days, you're going to have enough to be able to get 1 rare skill point for 4 chests, I should say, 4 chests.
And where you would
so what does that mean?
Where you would spend that dust or those fragments is actually in a different tab, ironically, adding to confusion. You would come down to your command center tab, and this is where you get to redeem the rare skill point fragments for these rare skill points. Now, Bubba, the first thing that I'm seeing here is obviously I'm tier 1. All right, I'm getting 32 of these fragments, which means in 3 days I'm going to have 96. So really, truthfully, it's going to take me a 4th day to get my first one. After that, it's going to be pretty much every 3 days. But 1 rare skill point? Is that right? Every 3 days? Or is it?
Well, so it's not. So the way that this works, right? So remember, when you're spending your Titanite, you are generating a reserve every day. So you get 4,000, you spend 3. The next day you get 4,000, you spend 3. Now you got 2,000 extra. And as that continues on, eventually you're going to have enough Titanite that you can do the second daily. And the second daily is simply spend 12,000 Titanite, which can either be with the max fortification or the regular fortification 3 times. Either way works. You just have to spend the Titanite.
4.
And
4
that
times. 4 times 3.
4 times. Yes, 4 times. 4 times.
Yay,
yes,
math!
4 times. So you do it 4 times, or you do the max fortification once. Either way, what that does is that gives you 3,500 extra of this crystalline beryllium. So what does that mean? Well, now instead of just getting 1,500 crystalline beryllium, which gets you 1.5 chests every day, this is a bonus of 3.5 chests. So the first day you could get 1 chest if you do the single. The second day you get 2. You go back to 1. You go back to 2, and then every so often you're going to be able to do this 12,000, which is going to give you the extra 3,500, which means you're going to be able to do an extra number of chests. You can either do 2 chests for extra days, or you could bump up and do the 3 chests. It really depends on what your priorities are. But that's what this does for you. That's what this is, why this is not just 1/3 of a skill point every day, because you're gaining this extra Titanite, and that is going to help you do the refined more often, which is going to get you, and I've done the math, over the course of a month, you're going to be able to get just over 17 rare skill points.
At what tier is that? Is that tier 1?
That's at tier 1.
Tier 1, 17 skill points. Now, for those of you who are not completely familiar with the rare skill point problem in this game, first of all, there's never been any. But for players who are engaging with rare skill points, they're having to buy them, right, Bubba? And right now, a $100 pack, regardless of ops level, is sourcing only 15 rare skill points. 15 for $100. So what this loop is actually doing, even at tier 1, if you are a player who needs the skill points, you are actually finding yourself with basically $100 worth of rare skill points every single month through the grind. Now, real quick, I do want to point this out. In the Fleet Commander, Bubba had mentioned maybe doing a 3 chest or doing extra days of the 2. I am 1,000% at this time going to recommend you do extra days of the 2, because notice the cost. 1 chest for 1,000, 2 chests for 2,000. But Bubba, they've got a weird acceleration expense fee here on the 3rd chest, where it costs 5,000 and not 3,000. We are currently investigating to find out whether or not that is intended, but it's a very easy thing to avoid. Just do extra days of the 2 chest and say poo-poo, no on the 3 chest, because we don't want to waste this stuff. We do want the rare skill points. Now, thanks to Blue Mandalorian and Jules Verne, we've also got this little chart right here, which is going to tell us, and there is a little bit of RNG. I'm dying. A little bit of RNG involved in the parts refinery, but you can see here that on average, even with a single pull of parts, Bubba, we only expect players to be at tier 1 for probably a little over a week. In mathematics sense, we're looking at roughly 8 days. Another 11 days to go from tier 2 then to tier 3, and it's going to start to kind of move up from there. But you're not even going to be at an entire month at tier 1 before you move up to tier 2. We're looking at roughly 8 days, depending on your luck. If you have Bubba Joe style luck, then it'll be closer to 20 days. All right. Now, once you're
statement.
Yeah, very true. So once you're doing that and you're starting to level up, a few things change, don't they, Bubba Joe? The daily will not. Okay, the beryllium, crystal, and beryllium that you get, those don't change. The actual dailies don't change.
The daily task, right, that pops up in your goals, just like where you're hitting the hostile harbinger and all, that does not change. That is fixed. It is the same 3,000 and 12,000, and it gives the same rewards. That never changes.
What will change, if you take a look in your support tab, you'll see that all 3 of these bundles, the Fleet Commander bundle and the parts and the research particles, they all say tier 1. These are actually changing as we tier up, so we can get more parts, right? We already established that at tier 2, we're going to get a 25% boost to all 3 of these chance bundles, all right? And same thing for the research. It's going to be a 10% boost to the particles. And Bubba Joe, in the 3rd case, which we don't, I think, oh, lucky, we do have the math. We do have it. Scopely, kudos on the info button, by the way. We've been really missing that with all these other refineries and stuff. Kudos on the info button. Bubba, here at tier 2, we're going to increase ever so slightly ever so slightly to now 35 per day. But Bubba Joe, even that is significant because instead of on the 4th day, I get a roll of a rare skill point. Now it actually jumps down to the 3rd day, right? 35 times 3 is 105. So I'm going to get more of the fragments as I tier this ship up to the ultimate point eventually, where at tier 12, you're going to be able to earn a skill point, maybe 2 or 3 a day. All right. And so Bubba has actually done the math. Now, we're not talking about just rare skill points. Obviously, uncommon are also still a problem. So we need to be able to enhance those as well. They've been finite up to this point. So it's giving uncommon as well. Do note these are uncommon generic skill points and do need to then be converted to your commander of choice in the Command Center tab. Bubba Joe, let's wrap up with this. A quick and dirty that's never quick and dirty. How many skill points can this ship actually provide a player over any tangible period of time? Is this the benefit? Because fortification feels like it could eventually be okay. The ship is powered and statistically built like a Cerritos, so it's never going to be like the Defiant. It's not going to be a ship that we're flying out into battle. So really, we've got boosting and we've got skill point sourcing. Is the Titan actually going to provide a benefit to players?
So I think it depends on where the players are in their progression in the fleet commanders. If you are 100% free to play, I would continue free to playing this ship because you don't need rare skill points yet because you're still gated by the level of your command center. If you are a player that invested heavily into the command center and are finding yourself very frustrated by the lack of rare skill points, this is a sourcing of rare skill points in the game that is likely worth looking at and getting your attention because the rare skill points are completely gated by the pay store up until this point. The question of where you should take your Titan is an entirely different discussion that we will probably discuss on a podcast in the future. But as far as should I get the Titan, I think that you're going to find that there is value in having the Titan to source both rare and uncommon skill points.
And just based on some quick and dirty napkin math, Bubba, I've got your screenshot up here from earlier this morning where you have kind of roughly done some math, and obviously there's going to be some variance in this depending on how players are spending their Titanite and how players are spending their crystal and beryllium and et cetera, and if they're using the most efficient, if they're using the fastest, et cetera. But when we look at the tier of the ship, you've done some rough estimates on how many rare skill points would actually come over a 30-day period. Can you touch on this for just a few seconds before we wrap up?
Sure. So at tier 1, like I said earlier, you're going to get about 17 skill points a month. At tier 2, now again, just one more thing, as we talked about, your daily redemption of Titanite goes up per tier as well. So that's why you're able to get this acceleration and why it's not the same at every level. That's why it changes as you go up, because both of those values, both the refinery and the Titanite, are going up at each tier. And so because of that, you're able to get to that additional daily much quicker than you would if you were just still getting only 4,000 a day. And so tier 1, you get 17. This is a fractional value. It rounds to 17. Tier 2 is 18. There is some rounding in these numbers. Tier 3 is 21. And so the question you have to ask is, well, what am I going to be able to do with 17 skill points? And so what you can do is obviously you can go look at what the skill points you need to be spending are. Some of them start down in the 10s. Others get up into the hundreds or 100. So you got to take a look at what that looks like. But the point is that this is a sourcing for rare skill points that does not exist in the game. There is no other redemption for this other than from the pay store. This is something that can happen looking at every day, looking at once, through over the course of a month, over the course of 2 months. This is sourcing for skill points that is players are going to be able to utilize once they've unlocked the ship. It doesn't take away from your advancing the ship. It doesn't take away from your research. This is a separate redemption. And like DJ said, I really hope that it's a mistake for that 3rd chest, but if it's not, then this is kind of where we're at. But this is, 17, 18, 21. Those aren't huge numbers over the course of a month, but it is much better than having to buy a $100 pack to get 15 every single time you want to upgrade one of those skills.
And this is a quick and dirty on the Titan and what what its maybe a little bit more subtle actual mechanic is. I mean, obviously some players will use it for the boost, and I'm sure eventually that will have some value, just like Cerritos did, just like Defiant did. But here early, there is possibly a motivation for picking up this ship now instead of waiting the 100 days. But as mentioned earlier, it absolutely depends on your progression currently with the command center. Let's not pretend here for a second as well that rare skill points, I don't think, actually come into play until command center level 40. Is that right, Bubba? Or is it that? I think that's right.
That is correct. That is correct.
So you got to look at your time left to get to Command Center 40, because not until you get to Command Center 40 will rare skill points become a thing. If you're free to play and you're sitting at 25, 26, 27, then you've got time. You probably do have time to wait the 100 days on this ship. But for those of you who are looking for rare skill point sourcing, and no one's going to say it's fast enough, Bubba Joe, but it is certainly better than nothing. Here on the right-hand side of your screen, you will also see real quick, I did throw up the quick chart for the increase in radioactive titanite by tier of the ship. This is the daily gift chest, the daily drop of how much titanite you will get as you tier up the ship, therefore allowing you to get to that maximum fortification a little bit more often and get that extra crystalline beryllium a little bit more often. Bubba Joe, as always, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much, DJ. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. And community, thank you guys for watching. This is the new Titan. What do you think? Leave your questions and comments down below. Does the ship look like it's not super worth it right here up front? I can agree that some of the sentiment or some of the first impressions might be there, but as you start digging into the math and we look, are you a player that is in desperate need of this? Well, you might be the target. For those of you at Command Center level 25, I don't think you are the actual target of this content. So it's okay for you to be a little bit disillusioned or less than enthusiastic. Take your time, grind it out, because I can promise you, right, Bubba? Eventually, this building will be at 40. And eventually, you'll need those rare skill points. And you know what? If you can start banking those up now, Bubba Joe, or even start banking them up 100 days from now, you're going to be much more prepared for the day that this building hits level 40 than, say, Bubba Joe is right here today. Guys, leave your questions and comments down below. I wasn't even showing you my screen. How silly. I was looking at the command center. This building right here, that one. That's what we were talking about. Leave your questions and your comments down below. I appreciate you all, guys. Leave your questions, your comments, smash the subscribe, click on the like, share with your team. This is what the Titan is as of right now. Is it worth it to you? Only you can decide, but our job is to teach you what it does and how you can use it if you so choose. My name is UltimatDJz, your friendly neighborhood cat person. Saying meow for now. Love you, man, and catch ya on the next one. Meow. Bye.